Hi, it's Palm Sunday 2020. A lot of bad stuff has been going on lately. We've been having a rough time down here at the bakery. Everybody's been having a rough time, but we're still plowing through it. A lot of weird stuff is going on right now in the world, and a lot of negativity all over the place, right here on the social medias and in the news and in the papers, and everybody's just kind of living in a bad spot right now. But I wanted to try to do something positive amongst all of this negativity. So I came down and put together a video for you. I forgot to record this beginning segment, so that's why I'm recording it now at the end, but I'm going to move it to the beginning through the magic of editing. But I just wanted you to know, I'm trying to make something good out of this, and I hope that you guys will help me get around this, because I think this is a lot of fun. I think this is a great way for us to mark this time in our history, and I think this is going to be a great way here at the bakery for us to be able to grow out of all of this weird stuff that's been going on. So I'll kick over to the actual video that I did, and I hope you enjoy it, but I just wanted you to know that this is something that I decided I wanted to do a long time ago, and I thought what better time than now to do something positive and fun in the midst of all of this negativity. So have a great day, and let's get to the video right now. Hey, this is a beautiful Sunday. So far, this has got to be the best day we've had so far. I think I'm going to officially consider this Palm Sunday the first beautiful day of spring. So I decided, since it's such a nice day, I'd come down to the bakery here and feed a couple of the newest kids in the family. I bet you didn't know we got a couple of new kids in the family, did you? I'll introduce you to them in just a second, but I had to come down here to the bakery to feed them because this is where I keep them. I know it sounds funny, but I'll tell you what, why don't you come on with me? Let's head into the bakery, and I'll introduce you to the new kids, and I'll let you see how we feed them down here. All right, come on in. Let's go do this. Hi, how's it going? I told you I was going to introduce you to some new kids in the family, and I'm going to. This is where I keep them. Most people don't keep their kids down at the bakery, but I do, and I got them right over here. We have to be quiet, though. We don't want to disturb them too much, otherwise they'll go crazy on us. But I wanted to introduce you to the two kids. So let's see what we have. This one right here is Corona, K-A-R-O-W-N-A. This one here is Wyatt. So Corona and Wyatt are brand new here at the bakery. We've never had kids like these before. These are the very first ones that we're raising. And I know you're probably thinking, what in the world is a kid in a jar like that? So these are sourdough. And these are 100% rye sourdough, and their birth date was last Monday. So we put them together last Monday. It started with Corona, and Corona grew for about 2 or 3 days, and then I split and I made Wyatt, and I'll explain the difference. So if you've never raised sourdough before, what we did was we took our rye flour and we mixed it with some warm water, and naturally when you do that and let it set, it will ferment. So our sourdough here, we didn't just use the rye and the water. We also used some local honey, and a little bit later I'll show you the honey that we have, because we sell the honey out in the store. But what we did was we added the honey to give it a little bit of sugar, so that way it'll get moving a little bit faster. But what happens is when you let your flour set in the water and you keep it at the right temperature, the yeast that's inside the flour will ferment. Now what's nice about our sourdough here is our sourdough is not only got the yeast in the flour, but there's also yeast that floats around in the air. So we now have captured wild yeast that's unique to this area and unique to our baking environment. We also captured some additional yeast through the honey, because honey, raw honey, is really great source of wild yeast. So now we have 2 sources of local yeast from this area that are now growing inside of these jars. And today what we have to do is we have to feed our sourdough. So I brought a couple of other kids with me to help us feed the sourdough. Come on over, guys, and say hi.
Hey! Hey, how's it going? Hi.
So these guys are going to help me feed the sourdough today, so that way they can help take part in making it grow. And then that way, Corona and Wyatt will grow up big and strong, and we'll be able to turn them into some awesome sourdough bread down here at the bakery. So why don't we get to the feeding here in just a second. All right, before we get to feeding it, I wanted to explain a little bit about what you're looking at here. So first I wanted to talk about the local honey that we have. So we have a honey farmer who stopped by and offered up to sell honey in the store, and I told him that we were going to be making it sourdough out of their honey. So this is the honey that we're using. Let's see if you can get if that comes into focus there. So that's the honey that we're using. So it's locally raised honey, and we have it available in the store, and we're selling it. Very popular, people enjoy it, but this is where we're getting our honey. So these bees here in our local area are the ones doing all the work to make this delicious honey that's going to give it the sweet flavor and get this sourdough started out really good. So let's talk about the sourdough for a second. What you can see here is, see all them little bubbles? That's what our yeast has done. So the rubber band indicates where it was yesterday morning when I fed it and put it in the jar and let it set to ferment. You can see that it rose up to about here. See where the smear is on the jar? That's where it rose up to. And then overnight it got a little bit chilly in the bakery, so it dropped back down because the yeast went back into hibernation. But there's a lot of nice action going on inside this jar. All of these little bubbles are the gases that the yeast lets out when it is fermenting the sugar, when it's eating the sugar. So the yeast is multiplying, and while it's multiplying, it's releasing gas, and that's what's making this dough grow and rise the way it does. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to split these. We're going to discard half of it and take the other half and feed it with some more water and some more honey and some more flour. And then that's where we're going to get our new batch of yeast cultures that are going to grow into tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, I'll be feeding it approximately once every 12 hours instead of once every 24. So now that you've been introduced to the honey, and now that you know what's going on inside the jars, the kids and I can get to feeding this sourdough. All right, we'll start feeding it right now. All right, you guys ready to feed these sourdough starters?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our honey and we're going to mix it into some warm water. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to do a couple of teaspoons of honey in each one. So I'll go like this.
That was cool.
Right there. Go. And go like this. Right there, okay? So both you guys mix that honey into the water. There we go, mix it up really good so that way the water has all the honey inside of it. While you guys are mixing, I'm gonna go get the sourdough starters.
I bet this is gonna take, it smells like apple juice.
Yeah, it does a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our sourdoughs. So Jacob, I'm gonna have you feed Corona, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start out, let me give you guys these. Go ahead and pour your honey water into your jars, okay? There you go, don't spill it all over. That's it, good. Good, okay, so you got your honey water in your jar. So let's move those out of the way. All right, so now, I'm going to give you a little bit of Corona for yours. Ooh, and I'm going to go ahead and stir her up a little bit here so we can get some oxygen in there. Because those yeasties like that oxygen. They like to feed, they like to grow nice and strong.
But if you stir it, then you're just going to kill the yeast by squishing them.
I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of Corona in here. Okay, we get about half of what we started out with. Okay, let me get your fork.
A lot.
All right. So there we go. So now we've got some Corona in there. And Ethan, you're gonna feed Wyatt.
Yay.
Okay. So here's your fork.
Isn't
So
Wyatt
put that there.
Isn't Wyatt the one that smells like apple juice.
Wyatt smells like apple juice. Now, do you want to know what makes Wyatt different? I took some of our rye bread and I put a blob of bread dough from our rye bread inside here. That way, I changed Corona into Wyatt by adding some different dough that already had a yeast culture growing inside of it. And we're going to see how different these come out in the end. So let's see, let's get that mixed up a little bit. All right, so let's get about half of Wyatt. And we'll stick him in here, just like this. There we go. You can smell our rye bread in here. That's what makes it smell kind of like that apple cider. Okay, so now you've got Wyatt, and you've got Corona. Come on over. And here's some rye flour. So go ahead and drop your rye flour in there.
All of it?
Carefully, yep. Pour it all in. There you go. Real careful, like. Good.
So now we just stir it?
Yep, now stir it up. Let me take these out of your way. Stir it up real good. So these guys are taking the original starters and they're feeding them some additional flour and a little bit more honey, giving it a nice warm, moist environment to work in.
There's no more water in it.
Yeah, I know. Is it turning pasty?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to stir
Is it
now.
getting harder to stir? I'll help you in just a second. We're stirring it with forks because we want to be able to whip some air into it so that way those yeasties have some oxygen to feed off of too. How's it coming, Ethan?
A little hard.
A little hard?
Yeah.
All right, let me see how pasty it is. We might be able to add a little bit more water to it. Let's see. Just like this. Okay. It's actually feeling pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, come on over, Ethan. Give it a few more stirs. That one's feeling pretty good. Let me see how yours is feeling. Let's see. Let me help you get yours mixed up a little bit here. Boy, you can smell that. Our rye bread already has. Our rye bread already has caraway and molasses in it, so a little bit of that is getting in here. That's what's giving it its flavor.
If I stir like normal, like it doesn't even move.
Yeah. Okay, whip a little bit more air into it. You guys are doing good. And then we'll be ready to clean up the jars and put them away for the night.
I am so tired.
A lot of work raising a sourdough, huh? You have to take care of it just like a pet. All right. I'm going to go get a paper towel and we'll wipe off the jars. I think you guys look like you're doing pretty good. Hold on a second. So tell everybody where you know that the yeast comes from, Ethan.
The yeast comes from the honey, the flour, and the...
Yep, look at them and tell them.
The yeast comes from honey, flour, and the...
Now I told you one time, comes from the honey, the flour, and the air, right?
Yeah.
Now I told you one time how yeast works. What does it do? Why is there air? Why is there air bubbles in there? What is the yeast doing?
Yeasts are making gas and putting little bubbles.
Yep.
To make it grow.
So what's it like the yeast is doing in there?
Farting.
Farting, that's right. You hear that? The yeast is farting. That's how it works. You're right. Okay, let's scrape this down. There we go.
I always wanted to say
Just
that.
like that. Put that fork there, and I'm going to wipe the inside of your jar with some of this water. And then that way we can see where it rises. Just like that. There. So now we have our new Corona.
What are you going to do with the other ones?
Okay, so let's set where she started. So we got the rubber band set. So this way we know just how much she's rising, okay? So we got Corona all set. Now let's go ahead and get Wyatt all tucked into bed.
Good night, Wyatt.
What are we gonna do with the old ones?
That stuff over there,
Yeah.
well, that stuff is all done. We're not going to use that for anything anymore. Okay, so here we go. We got Wyatt in there. And we're going to put Wyatt to bed now. And we'll wipe down your jar.
Mine?
Yep, that way we can see how much Wyatt grows overnight.
I can lift you, Jacob.
Okay.
The strongest kid on
Don't. Okay, you ready? So here we go. Oh, we got a little smear there. There we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and mark Wyatt. And we're going to mark Wyatt with the red rubber band. That way we know that this one is Wyatt. All right. So now these two are all set and ready for bed tonight.
You don't need to put the different color rubber band. Look at it.
Yes, I do. Because once they grow, I don't know who's who.
I know, but look at it. It says Wyatt and Corona.
No, it doesn't. It says Weck and Weck. That's the name of the jar. All right, so there you have it. We've introduced you to the newest additions to our family. Come on over.
Whoa.
All right.
Morning.
So we're going to let these two sit overnight. Not these two. These two are going to be going crazy all day. But we're going to let these two sit overnight. And I'm going to start providing some regular updates so you can see how well Wyatt and Corona are doing. And hopefully within the next week or two, we're going to be able to make some delicious bread out of these guys. So have a happy Palm Sunday. It's a beautiful day outside. Go on out in your backyard and run around. And then go back to hiding in your basement from the Coronas that are all over the place.
Good night.
And we'll talk to you guys later, okay?
Make sure you have enough toilet paper.
That's right. Make sure you have enough toilet paper. Got anything last to say?
No. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Very good. You guys have a great day, and I'll keep you posted on how these two are doing in here. All right. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Have a good night.
Bye.